Hello everyone! Welcome to our channel. I'm Miley.
And I'm Eric.
And we're glad you're here. We hope that you will take 5 seconds, not even that, to press the red subscribe button because we are a new channel and that really helps us out.
And the thumbs up button.
And, yeah, and if you like the video, that also helps us out.
Don't like the video, hit the thumbs down, you know.
That doesn't help us.
Well, but still, we want to hear.
No, we don't. Don't give us your criticism. That's not what this channel's about. Okay, anyway.
There's gonna be some criticism on this video.
Yeah, there will be. So today's video is a really fun video. We are getting into a topic that Eric and I have lots of love for. I've been a part of theater my entire life, and I love Broadway. I've seen some Broadway shows. My sister even has starred on Broadway. So a side note, if you would like to have a story time video featuring Tatum where we talk about the night that she starred on Broadway with Kristen Chenoweth, please like this video and let me know and maybe we'll film that next. So I've done theater my whole life. You've done theater pretty much your whole life too.
Yeah, I got started in high school, was like when I first got into theater. My first role ever was Jesus.
Oh, well, you can only go down from there or up, depending on who you're talking to. Anyway, so today we are going to delve deep into some of our very favorite Broadway musicals. I'm gonna do 5, Eric's gonna do 5. We're gonna share with you our very favorite musicals and why they're amazing and why you should go see them if you haven't. Without further ado, let's get started.
Yeah.
You ready to get started?
Let's do it.
All right, these musicals are in no particular order. I couldn't rank these if you asked, except for maybe my number 1. So I'll go ahead and say my number 1, which is Les Miserables. This musical I've loved since I was a teeny tiny child. My mother is probably Les Mis musical's biggest fan, and specifically Colm Wilkinson's biggest fan, who originated the lead role in that show, Jean Valjean, on Broadway, and in the West End, actually. She's seen Colm Wilkinson on Broadway in Les Mis twice. I digress. I was literally born to love Les Mis. There's no other way to put it. It was just in my veins from the beginning. It's a fantastic story, amazing characters, gorgeous, beautiful music, compelling all around.
Yeah.
It's a great story. You should watch it.
The first one that I'm going to talk about is not my top 1 all-time favorite, but one that kind of popped in my head last second before we started recording this. Company by Stephen Sondheim.
Company. Oh, I love Company.
We saw it together. Neither of us had ever seen it or even really listened to it before seeing it at a local theater. And it's just so good and such a character-driven show and definitely up my alley when it comes to theater and the type of theater that I enjoy. The story is so good, but it's so character-driven, and Being Alive, the big final number, is so impactful. And
Bobby, baby, Bobby.
On the West End, they recently gender swapped the lead role of Robert to Roberta, and still Bobby.
Made it a lady.
Yeah, and so that's really cool. The show has that kind of versatility. But Company is the first one that I love.
Okay, my second favorite, in no particular order, is, without a doubt, the most entertaining and high energy show to watch on Broadway or anywhere else, period. When it's well done. It is the Book of Mormon. I love the Book of Mormon, and not just because it is hilarious and crude and over the top and totally offensive in all the right ways, which is why people love that show, but I love it more than that even because the choreography is so smart. It's so clever. I love when choreography lends itself to the story. Every time I've seen it, which we've seen it, what, 3 times now maybe?
Yep.
Every time I've seen it, it's the exact same level of energy from everyone in the cast, and we've seen 3 different casts.
The second one that I'm going to talk about is one that Miley was very adamant be on my list, and she was correct, whatever. Jesus Christ Superstar. Sticking with the religiously dubious.
That's right.
I'm normally not a big fan of Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah, it's very funny that an Andrew Lloyd Webber made it on your list, but I know why.
It's very much the exception. Just the story is so compelling, the way that they tell the Christ narrative, but more than anything else, and this is not normal for me either, is the music in it is just
so good.
So good. Some of the best music written for male tenors around.
Rock star music, really.
That's also kind of its downfall, is you would be hard pressed to find a good amateur production of Jesus Christ Superstar, just because it's like at the top
hardly
of
singable.
Everybody's range. But yeah, I mean the story, and if you want a really good version to see, there's a DVD version. DVD. It was released on DVD. There's a recorded version from 2012 of like
with Mel C.
Yeah, from Spice Girls,
The
Sporty
most talented
Spice.
Spice Girl. Come at me, bro. Not my fave, the most talented.
And Tim Minchin, who's a Australian / British comedian. It's so good.
Worth the watch.
Yep.
Okay, my third one is a musical that never made it to Broadway. This show has almost a cult-like following because it is just so dang good, and it had such a short run, and so many people wanted to see it go to Broadway, but it ultimately didn't go to Broadway. And that show is Heathers. Heathers the musical, based on, yes, the 1980s crazy murder teenage angst movie with Winona Ryder and Christian Slater. Barrett Wilbert Weed played the Winona Ryder character in the short-lived run off Broadway, and I think that's one of the main reasons that it's so good, is because she just kills it. She brings her own life and spark and spin on the character. All of the actors in that off-Broadway production were totally Broadway caliber. They got to record a cast album, which I totally recommend you listen to, because it's some of the catchiest, funniest, smartest music written. Every single song is a bop, okay? Do you know what that phrase is, a bop?
Yes, I know what that's.
You're just an old man, so I'm making sure you're up with the times.
Thanks.
Heathers is a bop all around. It's hilarious, it's heartfelt, it has some serious moments, some moments that make you think. It is so good.
My third one is Fiddler on the Roof. It was one of the first musicals to really put a heavy focus on the story and the music being in service to the story instead of the other way around. It's such an impactful message, and not necessarily a true story, but a story that is true to the period it's set in. It's still relevant today.
I think the story even transcends.
Yeah, obviously it is a story about a Jewish family being persecuted in Poland and eventually forced to leave their hometown. But that story translates to any oppressed people and anybody that feels othered or different, and the story of Tevia's daughters loving in a way that their father doesn't approve of. I mean, it's a very adaptable story in terms of the messages that you can take away from it. Mm-hmm. But the songs are a lot of fun. They're really good, and it is very much an acting heavy musical, which I appreciate and like.
My number 4 is, which one do I want to do next? Okay, I'm going to do a semi-cliche, but like, it's like too cool even to even be cliche. Like, everybody loves it for a good reason, because it's the best thing ever. Hamilton.
Okay.
Yeah. Hamilton has to be on my list.
I'm very worried this whole time that you're going to say one that's on my bottom 5 list. I'm like, ugh.
No. We're safe from your bottom list already, I know. So Hamilton is, we all know.
It's Hamilton.
It's the most extraordinary thing to appear on the stage in a long time. So Hamilton basically revolutionized musical theater in both a literal and figurative sense, if you know the plot of Hamilton.
Yeah.
And if you don't know the plot of Hamilton, you've probably been living under a rock somewhere. It's just worth it. It is worth all the accolades. It's worth all the praise. It's worth all the hype. You don't typically run into something that's worth it.
It lives up to the hype, yeah.
Just the story, the choreography, the music, the compelling characters. It's just worth it.
So good.
Go see it.
My next one, we're on fourth one. This is one that I don't think you would ever guess as being in my top 5, but it's so good. It's truly unlike anything else you will ever experience or listen to. It had a tragically short run on Broadway. It is Natasha, Pierre, and the Great Comet of 1812.
Yeah,
okay.
You would put that on your list.
What does that mean?
I forgot that you love that show so much.
Roll in there. I didn't roll my eyes once at any of hers.
Okay, go ahead.
Such a unique show, the way it was staged, where the audience is literally sitting amongst the set and the cast and everything, and the music is so diverse and different. Be ready for kind of a wild ride, because it oscillates pretty heavily between like traditional Broadway with a Russian flair because it's set in Russia, to like EDM, like hyper intense. Prepare for that. But it's a super good show, really cool story. So yeah, that's what I got. Miss roll her eyes.
It's just not my favorite show to watch. I just don't like the music. I would go see it for sure and probably like it once I saw it, but like the music itself wasn't enough to draw me in and be like, ooh, I want to learn more. I'm just saying, it's not my choice for favorites, but I'm so glad it's one of your favorites and you got to talk about it. Moving on. Number 5, I'm on my last one.
Yep.
What do you think my last one is? What's been missing from my list?
Oh, now I'm having to go back through all the ones that you've said. I don't know.
What's missing?
What's missing?
It's a nostalgic one.
Oh, is it an R&H classic?
Yes, the only R&H classic on my list.
Here comes my eye roll.
The only R&H classic on my list, although I do like some R&H musicals. That's true. But none that come anywhere near as close to this one. The Sound of Music. Ah, my childhood. This is a nostalgic one for me. I was in The Sound of Music as a kid, and it just has a special place in my heart. The Queen, Dame Julie Andrews, stars in the movie. There's no one better than her. It's just a wonderful show. The music is classic. You can't get more traditional old school Broadway than The Sound of Music, than Doe a Deer. But the story is what makes you love it. And you know what is another unique thing about Sound of Music that I like? You know how some shows exist in one night or over the span of a couple days? Like I think of like First Date comes to mind, or The Addams Family, where you're existing in the exact same scenario the entire time. What?
Just your example of like First Date, you know, that like musical that everybody knows, that the Zachary Levi vehicle that ran for 2 months on Broadway.
Anyway, I love The Sound of Music because it's got such a scope. It's this big epic tale. You go through like 3 different acts by the end of it, essentially, formatting wise, because you have before the wedding, after the wedding, and then the war starting. Mm-hmm. I love The Sound of Music. It will always have a special place in my heart. And what's also worth mentioning is the revival of The Sound of Music made some really cool updates, different artistic choices that I thought really highlighted the story and worked super well when we saw it a couple of years ago. I think it's keeping up with the times. I really love it.
Cool.
What's your last one, Scrimpy?
My final one is a fairly recent show. Well, recent in its Broadway run. It had a long journey to get there. It is Hadestown. I mean,
way down Hadestown, way down under the ground.
We did a whole episode on Hadestown on me and Trevor's podcast, The Green Room. Go check it out. Shameless plug. But no, it's the music is unlike anything else you can find on Broadway.
Oh yeah.
The sweeping scope of the story, how intimate it can get, and the voices that sing on both the Broadway cast recording and the original cast recording are both phenomenal and different in a lot of ways, but very good. It's an extremely timely show, more timely than I think the authors even intended. It's a phenomenal show. If you're watching a video about Broadway musicals, you're probably aware of Hadestown. If you're not, go give it a listen, go check it out. It's super good.
Hadestown is, I think, the next in line with Hamilton to kind of revolutionize Broadway.
Yeah.
Every couple of years you get that one that kind of shakes things up and forges a new path, and I think Hadestown is doing that currently. Because it's just new. It's something Broadway's never seen before. So, okay, well, those are our lists for our top 5 favorite Broadway musicals. I think before we go, we need to do just a couple of honorable mentions, because when I was putting my list together, it was really hard to narrow it to just 5. So really quickly, let's run down some honorable mentions.
2 of my honorable mentions made it into your top 5, so I'll just knock those out real quick. Book of Mormon and Heathers made it my honorable mentions. My other 2 honorable mentions are Come From Away, which it was really tough to keep that out of my top 5.
I'm surprised that wasn't in your top 5.
Another pretty new show. And my last honorable mention is Gypsy. It's a really good show.
You do love Gypsy, yeah. I forgot you love Gypsy. Okay, my honorable mentions are The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is another that never made it to Broadway, but should have.
Stupid Frozen.
It was coming up at the same time Frozen was, so they had to choose one Disney movie over the other, and Frozen, of course, made the cut. Eric and I, fun fact, were in the middle of directing The Hunchback of Notre Dame at our local community theater when all the craziness hit, and we no longer are directing that show currently.
For now.
Probably won't be for a while. We don't know when yet. So we'll get to direct it eventually, and there will probably be a lot of vlogs about that when it does actually happen.
True.
My second honorable mention is Legally Blonde. I love that show based on the movie. It's got great catchy music. It's just a fun ride all the way through. You like Legally Blonde too, don't you? Yeah.
No, I like Legally Blonde 1.
Third honorable mention is Once Upon a Mattress, another very nostalgic one for me that I'd love to also direct one day. And my fourth honorable mention is, what was it? What was my fourth honorable mention? Oh, Cats. My fourth honorable mention is Cats.
Gross.
I love Cats
I'm
so
done.
much.
I'm out of here.
Well, that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please stay tuned for a part 2 of this series. Are you gonna come back and do the outro with me?
Cats?
Cats is amazing. It's a dance musical. I love dance. I teach dance.
You taught me.
I taught dance. I taught dance. You've got to appreciate Cats for what it is, the spectacle. It's all about the spectacle with Cats. Okay, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like, and look out for part 2, which are our bottom 5 least favorite musicals. I'm gonna have to come up with a less wordy title for that. But coming soon, part 2 to this video. Bye, everybody.
Bye.